Hey lovely people, this is Dev and you're listening to me on episode 15 of the Empowered Journal, a space to create the life you want to live. First of all, I miss talking to you so much, but I have so much to share with you all. Actually so many things happened, like different places, different people, experience, which is I'm pretty excited about. So hopefully I make my memories interesting for you as well. So before we get to the question part, I want to do this activity. I want you to do this activity in fact. Just answer me for this question. How many of you have caught up with your inner voice, which goes like somewhere in our minds? There sits a judge and keep watching us what to do and keep telling us what to do and keep validating how we perform and keep criticizing and scrutinizing, and every comment has an impact and effect on us. So it keeps tracking our success and failures, then eventually pass on a verdict. Think about this. I want you to perform this audit of your inner voice post listening to this episode for sure. And that's the exercise I have for you. So let's hear out the question for the episode. Hey lovely people, welcome to the Empowered Journal. This is your host presenting you episode 15, How to Love Yourself Again, exclusively for you in Spotify. And here goes our question. Hey Dev, my name is Rebecca and I was wondering if you have ever made an episode about learning to love oneself after losing themselves. I have been listening to your podcast and I love them, but I was wondering you should do this. How do I learn to love myself again? And how do I get to know who am I again after losing myself for so long? And I want to know, how does it feel like? I think your answer can be need of the heart because self-love is completely misunderstood these days. By the way, how did you fall in love with yourself? Hey Rebecca, thank you so much for the question and especially for the last part. See, the point is, it's so easy to tell someone love yourself and actually difficult to describe how to do it. For many people, the concept of self-love is on over the top. It's like a theory, and actually people do not realize its importance. Because people always tend to be perfect, and perfectionism is considered to be a greater asset or quality than self-love. When we talk about self-love, we all easily picture about someone reading self-help books or hugging a tree or traveling or much more than that. But it's about mental well-beingness. It's about keeping your anxiety in check. See, the problem here in the modern society is it's shaped in such a way that we are sort of bound to constantly competing against each other or within ourselves sometimes. We are always trying to reach a short-term goal, trying to better ourselves to match the expectations set upon us by the society. And as a consequences, we end up being too harsh on ourselves, and all too without even realizing. That's sad. Whether you like it or not, all of us are more or less stuck up and consumed by our work, social interactions, life goals, weekend plans, and so on. You actually do not live. In fact, love is the only thing that keeps us going and makes us less robotic in a world where we start to think and act like a programmed machines. I hope you all agree to me that everyone needs love, and we spend most of our energy in loving others, be it friends, spouses, children, or family. We all like to spread the love. But the question is, do we produce enough love for ourselves? See, let me tell you something. We cannot always expect to rely only on external sources for love. And that is where the concept of self-love kicks in. A person who practices self-love will never need to depend on others to be happy, and it feels so empowering to be happy from inside. And remember, self-love is absolutely not being selfish. It is just putting yourself first and not being too tough on yourself. So next time you hear that voice in your head telling you that you are not good enough or you cannot afford to make mistakes or whatsoever, just ignore it. When our loved one makes a mistake, we often forgive them so easily. But when we make a mistake, we are too hard on ourselves. That sounds kind of double standards, right? So start taking care of yourself. Let me start with the benefits that self-love has got. The first thing is, self-love is realizing that we are only humans and it is okay to make mistakes. It is okay to lose at times. It is okay to not to have best day, week or month. So move on. The second thing about self-love is, it can actually encourage us to pick up some good habits. If you realize, if you had a long day at work, come home and take a break. If you can learn to love yourself and all the flaws, you can love other people so much better. And that's what makes you so happy. Despite saying all that, it's easy to ask someone to love yourself, but like I told you before, it's much more difficult to describe how to do it. So to answer Rebecca's question, let me share my experience of how did I do it. To begin with, by first not falling in love with myself. Yes, that's true. Before, I always used to prioritize people, society, and tried my level best to make them happy. But somewhere in the journey, I realized it has no point. I think contrast is necessary in life, right? And it goes from not falling in love with yourself to loving yourself truly. This is what exactly happened. I literally went through all the pain and hurt. And finally, when I reached a phase where I couldn't take all of that anymore, I decided to leave toxic people or situations who didn't serve me anymore. People who demotivated me, people who tried to pull me down. And in fact, let me tell you this, it's hard to put yourself as a priority when all you have been doing your entire life is to care about the rest of the world than yourself. It's so difficult to make yourself happy when you're so busy caring about people who really doesn't matter. Remember this, just making yourself a priority and taking every single decision based on that automatically makes you start falling in love with yourself. This is step number 1. See, keep yourself engaged. Keep doing something that interests you always. Be it reading books or expanding your knowledge, practicing trust or mindfulness, consciousness, being disciplined, or keeping the consistency in every small task on a daily basis. Do one thing which you find extremely hard on a daily basis. Do some exercise. See, loving yourself is not only pampering yourself. That is a complete misinterpretation. It is in fact taking some harsh steps regarding your self-growth, whether you like it or not. Loving yourself is not only pampering yourself, it's taking some harsh steps regarding your self-growth, whether you like it or not. Because that's where the actual change happens and begins. And true transformation requires breaking a certain part of yourself and then rebuilding a new you. Put all your focus on yourself and one day it will all be worth it. I shared how it was for me, but why it is so difficult to love ourselves. Basically, the short answer to this question is that we were raised in a society that didn't teach us about self-love. This may not seem to be a very important to some, but self-love is one of the best things you can do to yourself. Looking in the mirror, most of us see a lot of different flaws, and remember, the less you love yourself, listen to yourself and understand yourself, the more confused, upset and frustrated you are. When you begin to care for yourself and continue to do that more and more each day, things will start changing slowly and it will get better in every way possible. Unfortunately, self-love isn't always easy because accepting the pain and always allowing yourself to be honest with who you are is a very, very big step. Because we are so used to carrying a lot of negative emotions like jealousy, disgust and rage, which has a huge negative impact on us. We need to learn how to accept not only the emotion that create happiness, but also the other side. And another way of doing it could be by saying no to others when you really don't have the time or energy to say yes. We often do too much for other people because we want to please everyone under the sun. And the last way, and this one has become very, very common these days because this has become the go-to place, I would say. Many people are incredibly talented, and they don't even know about it. Let me tell you this, anytime you start looking outside for your value, you instigate a self-doubt. It's like you telling yourself you don't matter. What you are forgetting is that your worth is inside you and only you can determine it. And also these days we rely heavily on social media to give us a boost of self-worth. If you have noticed, it's making us long for something that someone else definitely can't give us. I repeat, only you can determine your worth and you should. If doubt holds you back, you need to build yourself a backup because your value is in you. Know your worth. Don't ever let other people put their self-doubt inside you because it belongs to them, not yours. Making the choice right now to choose your own love is the most powerful healing force you have within yourself. So with this, we have come to the end of the episode. Protect your thoughts, deny negative people in your life, start doing things that inspires you. Choose to experience something different every time possible because life is full of possibilities. Forget what others tell you, be it anyone. Feel your power, know your worth, and believe in yourself. Also, don't miss out to share me what you like the most and dislike about you. Start on your game and keep going for your dreams. Thank you for listening. Download Spotify and subscribe the Empower Journal. And also be sure to check the other episodes as well. Until then, this is Dev signing off. I'll catch up with you again soon. Nandri!